Hi everyone, this is Zoha Wasim from the Urban Violence Research Network. Welcome to Street Talk. As you know, in Street Talk, we talk to experts and academics about their research, projects, publications, fieldwork, and current affairs more broadly. So this is a really interesting time to be studying and learning about policing and police-related issues around the world. And policing is also inherent to our understanding of human rights and human rights violations more broadly, and about conflict and security in around the world more generally. And increasingly, we're seeing this shift to understanding policing systems and the institutional cultures of the police in the global south. So to take this conversation and this agenda forward, I have with me a very special guest, Dr. Mohammad Kamal Uddin, who is a professor of international relations at the University of Chittagong in Bangladesh. He holds a Ph.D. from the Department of Asian and International Studies at City University of Hong Kong. His research interests include human rights and policing, crime and justice in the global south, and development and human rights in southern perspectives. So today, Dr. Mohammad Kamal Uddin will be talking to us a bit about his research and his experiences of researching on policing in Bangladesh. So Dr. Kamal, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Doha, for inviting me to have share my experiences about my research and what is policing is going on in Bangladesh and what I did in police research. So first of all, let me introduce my research, what I did in my life. And, as you know that I did my PhD from City University of Hong Kong. My PhD thesis was about militarization of policing, culture of impunity and corruption. And also my special focus was on human rights violation in Bangladeshi policing. And, based on my PhD research and some other research, I have published some research article in international journal, especially in Human Rights Review, that was like human rights abuses in Bangladeshi policing and the protection capacity of National Human Rights Commission. And also I did some other research, that is the Southern perspective of policing. In that research project, I have published another book chapter in the Palgrave Handbook of Criminology and the Global South. And the topic of my publication was a Southern perspective on extrajudicial police killing in Bangladesh. Then I also do another research on abduction and disappearances in Bangladeshi policing, which was published in Policing, a journal of policy and practice from Oxford University Press. And also I am now working on another research project that is a Southern perspective of community policing and controlling crime in Bangladesh. What I wanted to share here that, I always like look at the Southern thinking in policing and Southern understanding of human rights and human rights in policing and criminal justice, because the understanding of Southern and understanding of global Northern and Western are not similar. That's why I Southern policing and to identify our perspective, that means the Southern perspective of policing. And I hope I will work more on the policing issues, though this policing working or doing research on policing is, challenging, and especially in the global Southern countries. Of course, yeah.
So if you can tell us a little bit about your PhD, like what were you interested in researching on, and in your PhD specifically, and what did you find? What were your findings or hypotheses?
In my PhD, I was trying to do on research in, like human rights in general initially. So then I did some literature review about the human rights in Bangladesh and also in the global Southern or Asian countries. Many people, they always, do PhD on human rights, like human rights violation, women rights, and human rights violation in general. So I thought that there is a huge research gap the nobody in, especially in Bangladesh, explore human rights in policing in Bangladesh. Then I started, reading about the human rights perspective in policing and criminal justice. Then I find the interest that the human rights violation in common in policing in Bangladesh, and not only up since the independence of the country. If we look at the like the British period and Pakistan period, also the human rights violation was there. So the recent time we see that the human rights activists, civil society, they are much concerned about human rights in policing. Then I was working on that, and I found that in Bangladeshi policing, I find out that three core concepts or three core reasons are more responsible for human rights violation in, especially in the global southern perspective. And I found that the first one is the militarization of policing. We see that the militarization is exists in Bangladeshi policing. I am not talking about the military people are controlling the policing. I talked about how existing policing contaminated with the military ideology, military tendency, military culture. They are more aggressive right now in the global southern countries, to implement law and order situation. Because of their aggressive behavior, like behaving like a military, the human rights violation is there. Parallelly, with the military tendency, politicization was also there, because the human rights violations are, legalized based on the political ground. And then I found that the culture of impunity exists in Bangladesh. Police and some other people as well. If they violate the rights of someone, they are not getting any, punishment. Or if they wanted to satisfy the political elite, or some strong people in the society, they are not getting the punishment. That means culture of impunity exists there. Also, the violation is there because of the corruption. So I identified the nexus between politicizations, culture of impunity, corruption, and militarization of policing that contribute to human rights violation in Bangladesh. That was my finding in my PhD research.
That's really interesting. So what if you can just expand, because militarization of policing is of course a very topical issue, and of course in the global south, there's been a history of it. There's the idea that colonial legacy, especially like in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, but also in Africa, like there's a colonial legacy of policing, and the structures are still the same. And sometimes the current militarization of policing is often attributed to those structures that were created several years, like a couple of 100 years ago now. So is that something that you have also found? Like, what did you find as the cause of militarization of policing in Bangladesh? Is it simply because of the colonial legacy, or have you found that last sort of few decades have also, the violence in Bangladesh and the partition, two periods of partition, one in 47 and then in 71, did that also contribute to the more recent contemporary culture of policing in Bangladesh?
Thank you so much. That is very interesting questions. I think I will love to answer these questions. You know, uh, you are right. Colonial legacy exists in the Bangladeshi policing, also the policing in the global south. Also we have created some other phenomena in our society that help to have the militarization of policing. You know, I have read one book written by McDowell, and he argued that the political elite, they feel insecurity in our society. We know that the our leader of independence, like Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, he was killed by some people and his family, and so on. So the political leadership, they always fear of their security. So they don't believe in that the existing common policing, they can protect themselves. That's why we see that some special police unit was created to have some the balance among the police forces or something like that. And also, if you look at the tendency of the crime, like drug smuggling and arms dealing and so, because of that, some special police force was created. Then, like we have like Rapid Action Battalion is a elite force, and we have Cheetah and Cobra and some other special police unit in our country. So, though this police unit received highly militarized training with heavy weapons to control, to eliminate some of the criminals, high profile criminals, or they wanted to break the criminal networks. And also, because of this tendency, after the independence of our society, parallelly having the colonial mind, then we have created this kind of policing ideology in our society that's helped to have the military tendency. And also we have using this military tendency or militarization of policing for our own purpose, that means our political purpose, and or sustain our political gain, or private gain, or so and so. Not only that, due to the inception of this elite force, and they are killing some like criminals in true sense, so they got the training, they bear in their ideology and mind that the killing the people in policing is legal. So that's why, because of this military tendency, and they have created some new ideology, new idea in policing, like gunfight, crossfire. That means crossfire, gunfire, and use of force, and so and so. Because of these, belief and this ideology, this culture, whatever, what is the matter behind that? This ideology exists in policing, and this policing, regular police force, they have also learned some, a military ideology from special police force as well. That's why this military tendency is existing, and also our mass people to some extent are accepting this military tendency, because they have seen that this militarization of policing or killing the criminals is good for society, and they are distributing. Sometimes, we have seen that the mass people, they have distributed the sweets in the society for killing these things, and that I have explored in my research. That means southern perspective of extrajudicial police killing. In that research, I argued that the extrajudicial killing to some extent accepted in our society, mass people they're accepting. Why? Because they have their southern thinking. They don't allow that criminal justice in our society. People are thinking that, okay, police is killing the criminal, that's fine. Now the situation has been changed over the years. Over the years. Yes. So a lot of mass people also are killed in the police activities, due to the gunfight and so and so. Now people are more aware about human rights in policing. They're thinking that, okay, we supported that because they have killed the criminals. Now the mass people or general people to some extent are killing. Police are saying that, because of a gunfight between police and criminals, they kill. So our argument is, yes, police can arrest them, and police have the power to use of force in certain circumstances, but it should be investigated whether police misuse this power or so and so, or why police, we want to see our police different from military forces, because police or military are not same, their training are not same, and their philosophy should not be same. Police is not for eliminating the people. Police is for detecting the crime, arresting the people, and judiciary will take the decision what is actually going on. That's the phenomena in going on actually.
That's really interesting. You find similar trends across South Asia, I think, more broadly. I remember like in India, a couple of was it earlier in this year, or maybe late last year, there was an incident of an extrajudicial killing, and I think it was a rape case or something, or along those lines. The police officer had kind of taken revenge and had killed the suspected individuals behind in this particular case, and they were hailed. The people in that area, like, they lifted the police officer up and in the air, and they were praising him, and they were bringing sweets, like you said. And in Pakistan also, we've seen that if it's a particularly notorious criminal has been eliminated in an encounter or an extrajudicial killing, then the police are often sometimes rewarded as well. They're given prize money sometimes, and then people also say, okay, good riddance. This is good, it's happened. But it's interesting that you've also noticed a change in the thinking, in society a little bit, and maybe the media has a bigger role to play on that, and maybe we're just a bit more aware, and maybe there's more information that's been given to people now about them. Because in Karachi, where I am, it's a similar trend you see in the last couple of years. People are less, people are a little bit more careful of praising encounter killings and extrajudicial killings. Is that something you have seen in Bangladesh as well? And why do you think there's this shift that's taking place?
Yes, you are right that the changing situation is we are seeing, and people are, now are critical about the activities of police due to the, spread of social media. And also, we had some opportunity to share our views, though, to some extent, our society is sometimes is controlled by the political elite and media. They have some self censorship and so and so. Still, human rights activists, they are talking about it, and also people can share their views. What the people can criticize to some extent, though they have though there are some political problem, and so and so. And also, if you see that if a criminal arrested in our society, like a high profile criminal and a smuggler and so and so, and people still, they have support extrajudicial killing to some extent. They're saying that, okay, please open fire this man and kill them immediately, and so and so. And also, you know uh, killing by beating in our society also, you see sometimes, and people are killed by
Lynching.
yeah, beating and so and so. So why? Because the southern tendency we have in our society, we don't see the criminal. And one way we protecting criminal in a political ground or nepotism and so, or due to the corruption. And on the other hand, we are denying like the rights of the criminal as well. So, and we see that the changes is going on over the year, and changes in two terms, people are going to be aware of right now, because they are losing their relatives as well because of this killing and so and so. That's why they are aware. And also police, though they have received a lot of you know criticism from different grounds, like from media, civil society groups, and human rights activists, still I can say that they didn't stop it. Still, we have seen some incidents
Yeah.
happening.
So I mean, of course, certain practices are very difficult to do away with as well, and it takes a while to change the culture of an institution also. But given that there is increasing awareness now in society, and it's much more difficult to hide and a fake killing or an extrajudicial killing, a fake shootout, let's say. It's difficult to hide the facts around it now. Do you think that because of this increased awareness and conversation on policing in Bangladesh, is there any space being created for reforms? Are there any efforts underway? Is the government interested in taking reforms seriously? What is happening on that front?
Oh, it's a very good question. I think I should share something about it. Government has taken some initiatives for police reform, though the reforming the police is not very easy in the global southern countries. We have seen that lot of initiatives were taken, and Bangladeshi government also worked with UNDP project for police reform. That was the two phase of police reform. One is started from January 2005, and it's ended in 2009. And the second phase also started in 30 September of October of 2009 and ended in 2014. And UNDP reform project, they have given some sorts of guidelines to the Bangladeshi government for changing the institutions of the society, police, and also they have prescribed lot of training. I think like a human rights training, rights of the children and women should be protected in the policing, and the police is receiving like lot of training right now. They are going to abroad for having the experiences, and also and the UNDP project wanted to ensure the standard of policing, the how Bangladeshi police can work with international standard and so on, and we have seen some changes in the police law, though we have the colonial law started from 1980 1800 and 1998, that means CRPC, Criminal Procedure Code. Our police is working still in following that law. Even I think the Pakistan police or Indian police is also following the CRPC and so on. So the one legal reform we found in 2013, that was the torture and custodial death prevention. And we have seen that there are some cases of the custodial death in police custody due to the phenomena is increasing day by day. That means the torture and custodial death, if there are some incident in Bangladeshi policing, then the civil society, also media and donor agencies, they have raised their voice to introduce a new law. Bangladeshi government, the present government in the previous term, they have introduced this law. That means that the Torture and Custodial Death Prevention Act 2013. Now the people can file a case against the police for if they suspect that the death is happened in the custody and so on. So
okay.
Another reform, we can say that the community policing concept of the community policing is introduced in Bangladesh. Though this initiative taken by the Bangladeshi government, also donor agencies, is still, we cannot say that the implementation is going on and total reform is done. They have received the training, but they need to implement what they have learned from the training. And receiving training by a particular police unit is not only helpful for changing the total police department. So for the changing the total police department, we need to depoliticize the institution first. Depoliticization is important. You know that politicization in the recruitment, politicization in the promotion, politicization in the transfer of the police, politicization of posting, politicization of using power or misusing power, or controlling the political opponent, and we have seen since the independence in our society. So depoliticization is important. Also controlling, eradicating all sorts of corruption in policing is important. I can I can tell you another point. We have in Bangladesh introduced like police internal oversight mechanism. You are very familiar with this.
Yes.
To make accountable of the Bangladeshi police. We have this unit. It's started. It's under the police head. It works under the police head. And also, if you can ask that the implementation also is very weak, I can say you. So this is the ongoing process. It will take time. Of course, we hope that we want to see a very good police and our police as our friend in future.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's of course very. I think it's a trend we see globally as well, right? Like the difficulties of getting reforms to take root, or the difficulty of actually getting institution to implement the reforms, and the training that they receive, especially when the donors are providing them a certain kind of training. Like how does it trickle down, and does it actually like do reforms stick? I think that's one of the the key challenges that we see globally. So just a final question, because you've covered a lot of ground. You talked about reforms, you talked about militarization of policing, and clearly you've gotten a very, you've been, and it's good to see that the law on that now you have a legal framework on custodial torture and illegal detention as well. I think that's a very significant step, especially for human rights violations. So how have your experiences been on carrying out fieldwork on this topic in Bangladesh? Because I think you have done fieldwork on this for your PhD, but you're still researching on this topic, and you are based in Bangladesh as well. So I mean, it must not be very easy. I'm sure it's a very sensitive topic. So what sort of, have you faced any challenges, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Oh my God, thank you so much for asking a very root question, I think, is the very underlying question of doing research in our country, especially in policing field. I can share with you my fieldwork experience. During my fieldwork, I have gained huge experience of doing research on such a complex and controversial issues in Bangladesh. It was very difficult to maintain interview schedules during the fieldwork due to the changing time of by the respondent. The police people, they are very busy in their work. Convincing them was very difficult, and also the people, political elite, and human rights activists and elite people, convincing them is very difficult. Them was very difficult, and also they changed their time even without informing me. I went to their office to have interview. They said that I can do it today. You can come tomorrow or day after tomorrow or new time they have given me. And also I was trying to maintain the new time and at that time. And however, there are some positive thing in that ground, that there are a lot of police officers. Some police officers, they are very love to talk with what they are doing in their police activities. I have found that some police officers, they are not also happy uh, for working in such way in Bangladesh. They are, uh, you know, they said that we have to do in this way. We don't want to do in this way. We can work. We don't take the responsibility for doing bad things in policing. So there are some good people, and even I can share with you that some police officers, they come to my home and university to give me time to share their experience as well. So these are the very good things for doing the field works. And human rights activists, academic people, and NGOs people, they are very helpful, and they help me a lot in different ways, such as giving me some information about victim, and they have given me suggestions to interview appropriate person who know the issue very well. And so I got the support from police officers and NGO activists, academics, and practitioners, some lawyers as well. And also there are some challenges. The important challenge is the personal security of the researcher in this field. Personal security of the researcher is great concern, I think, if someone wants to work on it. So it was evident that some journalists had been tortured by, writing the reports on these activities and so and so. And enforced disappearance culture, introduced in the global south, even in our country as well. So that's why every time people aware about their personal security, you have your family and relatives, they are discouraging, they will discourage you not to do research in challenging issues. So but you can minimize it. The Bangladeshi people, I found that they love to talk. If you ask, you know, what is going on in this way, even if you don't ask the critical question during the interview, if you ask some positive question to them, if at the time of the answering that positive question, they also wanted to say something negative things that is actually going on in the policing. So of course, researchers should maintain the personal connection network with police department, also the human rights group and also media and so and so. And another point is convincing the respondent to attend the interview is very difficult in our society. So, the victims, they don't want to talk.
Yeah.
That is why you need to give them a very, very, confidence, or you need to ensure their security first. So
Yeah.
the convincing them, I find that it was very difficult. But finally, if you keep in touch and if you have strong determination to do the field work in challenging issues, I hope you can do it and you can find some good things. And by this way, you can change the society. You can, make the awareness of the people, and you can, disseminate your research to the people.
Okay, so that was really unique. I think a lot of our our viewers who I think they'll find that really interesting because you've covered a lot of ground when it comes to getting access and maintaining communication and ensuring your own security as a researcher and the security of the participants of study. But also, like you said, a certain there are people who like to talk, and that's a good thing about, I think, certain cultures, that you do have people who are willing to share information. But obviously, as a researcher, we have this obligation, and we have this we have to be conscious of doing it ethically, and maintaining the anonymity and the security of our participants. So I think we have covered a lot of ground now, and we've learned a lot more about Bangladeshi policing and policing in Bangladesh, and it resonates very strongly to what I'm trying to learn about policing in other in other countries. So I think there's a lot that one can learn from by looking at the research and by reading the research and publications that are coming out of South Asia, and the global South more generally. And I think by taking a southern perspective, you are really you're in the you're helping expand this growing field of southern criminology and southern policing as well. So that's it's very good to to know that. So thank you so much for taking out the time and for sharing your insights and your knowledge and your experiences with us. And thank you so much, and thank you to all of you who are watching this episode of Street Talk. For more information about our network and about Street Talk, you can visit our website urbanviolence.org, and also follow us on social media and find us on social media. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we hope to see you soon.